Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video I'm going to be forging a nice big hidden tang chef's knife. So I'm going to start with some W2 steel. I like W2 a lot. It's a nice steel to work with, it's a nice steel to use. It makes nice knives. I'm just a big fan of W2. Once I've got that heating up in the forge, I'm going to do some drawing just to get kind of my rough dimensions and just some lines on the floor that I can kind of reference as I'm working. First thing I'm going to do with forging this out, I'm going to start forging the tip as always. Just making sure to not let anything mush out too bad and trying to work cleanly and evenly and just get this preformed forged out to start with. Now I'm making a little isolation over the edge of the anvil, which is going to ultimately become the heel of the knife, the transition from the blade to the ricasso and the handle. I'm just doing that over the edge of the anvil and then starting to widen out the blade with the cross peen on this hammer. That just kind of helps me keep track of everything, helps, keep things kind of where they're supposed to be. And it's just kind of a reference for how much material I need. Because this steel is so much thicker than my end knife, as I widen it, it tends to stretch both ways. And I'm going to have to knock all the steel down to one side, if that makes sense, to get a flat spine. That's what you see me doing here. Just trying to knock all that down. That'll also give me a taller heel. Just kind of make the knife the shape it is. Also notice how the tip right now is kind of on the edge side. As I forge out the bevels and stretch out that material, the tip will actually sweep back up. Just using my guillotine to start this tang. If you're forging knives and you don't have a guillotine tool like this, you should definitely make one. They're really not that hard to make and they're super duper useful. This one was just something I welded up actually in my high school shop class, and it's been working great for years. But now I'm just drawing that tang out, getting some nice length, thinning it out, getting it closer to that final dimension where I want it to be, and we're getting pretty close on our knife forging here. I do one forge side normalizing cycle after forging, just to kind of reset some grain and just kind of normalize everything. And then I'll throw the knife into the even heat and do a proper full anneal on it. The knife gets a hole drilled in the tip of the tang so I can stick a wire through it to hang it in the salt pots for tempering later. After that, I'll do some quick grinding, just a quick profile to get the profile where I want it, and then a little bit of bevel grinding just to get the scale and the crust and the lumps off the edge. Get that edge down to a nice thickness for hardening. Well, now the knife's going into the oven. It's time for the hardening. I'm going to bring it up to temperature, get the salt pot started so they can be warmed up too, and then I'm going to go for the quench. I'm quenching in AAA. Ideally I'd have Parks 50, but I don't have any. This works fine. Ideally you wouldn't also let this oil burn like that. That's no good, but it was already pretty toasty, so I just let it go for a sec. I use low temp salts for my first temper and the oven for my second, really just because the oven's easy, but after I harden the knife it's too hot to use, so I have to use the salts, and I don't want to let the knife sit around for too long and cool off. Now I'm getting back into some grinding, do the profile grinds and bevels to grind it all the way out, and then I'm going to do a Scotch-Brite belt finish instead of hand sanding this one. Now that the blade is mostly finished, I'm going to cut my shoulders so I can start working on fitting up a handle. This is a nice big file guide from Riverside Machine. I really like it a lot. It's good for hidden tangs, good for integral bolsters, stuff like that, everything. I love it a lot. Just going to use it to get my shoulders nice and square, cut in, and then I can start looking at my handle materials. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fit up my bolster. I'm using black G10 just because it's nice, looks good, easy to work with. I don't know, I like the G10 bolsters a lot. I'm going to scribe myself a center line and then mark around the tang just so I have references on where my tang slot needs to be. And then I'm just going to go to the drill press and kind of pretty much just eyeball this out. I can get pretty close at this point. Now I can start cutting up some spacers. I'm going to be using some black G10 and bronze spacers in this. I just like the way it looks. Just a little bit of pop makes things look a little classier. I'm a fan. I'm going to cut up my materials and fit them up pretty much the same way as I did the bolster already. I've got all three spacers clamped up in the vice grips. That just makes it super easy to drill all three at once and then file them together. Make that tang slot fit perfectly without having to work them all individually. Just makes things go a lot faster. Now I'm going to start fitting up this block of curly willow. This is a piece of wood that I cut, dried, and stabilized myself from a tree that came down in my yard. Some really nice stuff. But I'm just putting some lines on here so I know where I'm drilling my tang slot. Just going to take it to the drill press and drill this all out. Nice, it fits right off the drill press. Now I can go ahead and glue this all up. The first step to my handle shaping is doing my profile on the handle. Basically what I'm doing is before I worry about anything else, I'm just going to make it so that the silhouette of the entire thing is right. You know, the profile of the blade with the profile of the handle. Just trying to get that shape right. And then I can give myself some more layout lines and start working that handle down, thinning it out, giving it some taper. And then I'll give myself even more layout lines. That's what you can see here. Work the handle to an octagon, or faceted, I guess. And then turn those facets to a round, smooth handle. I shape the handle as close as I can on the flat platen, and then I'll switch to a finer grit scalloped belt on the rotary platen. Rotary platens are so nice, especially on a grinder with a VFD that I can turn down. I can run this thing with a 400 or 600. I can almost do all my handle sanding on the machine. Just go nice and slow and smooth everything out. I have almost no hand sanding to do on the handle after this. The last thing this knife needs is a quick hand sand on the handle up to 1000, a little oil, and then a sharpen. Sharpening really doesn't take long. I do it on the belt with the grinder running really nice and slow. I think I'm using a 8 or 1200 grit Sunmax belt. This works super nice to raise a burr, and then give it a quick strop and it's just going to be nice and razor sharp. Well, I'm happy with how this knife came out. It's a nice one. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And yeah, I've got more things coming soon, hopefully, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks, everyone.